Schmidt, 105.7 Zone, Paul from Cook.
Thank you.
Past coaches here have had a policy of not using the word Michigan. I'm wondering if you're granted a waiver or whether you have to do push-ups every time.
I've banged out about 30 push-ups, so I'm not immune to it. But tons of respect. I don't want to get into the details of it, but I think I got a pass, I guess.
In all seriousness, no.
Yeah.
You're going from one side of the rivalry to the other, and that, to me, would seem to be a strange experience. And I'm wondering what that experience has been like for you.
Well, the football side of things, it's you still have a lot of the same elements, but yeah, it's an adjustment for sure. Especially when you're all in. I'm not one of those half foot out kind of guys. I'm all in. So, but a ton of respect for the coaches and the players there. So, it's a unique experience to say the least. But I'm excited about where I am and excited about what's ahead. So.
Second row left, Ari. Al, when you come into a new place, you have returning starters or players that were starters last year, but you also have a lot of talent on the bench. How do you look at that from top to bottom? Do you have to reanalyze everything? How do you make decisions? Because the linebacker position last year was one of the most heavily talked about positions from a fan standpoint, in terms of are the right people playing, is the scheme the right way? How do you come in and just kind of tackle all of that?
Well, you got to give the kids a chance to prove themselves to you during the spring, right? Workouts. So my take has always been to evaluate the body of work that you have. So you look at some things about last year, and then consider what you're doing this year, and then give them a chance to show you if they can execute and do the things that you need them to do. So I feel like I can't accurately answer anything on that because, I'm getting here. I'm literally just getting here. The past 2 weeks we've been on the road. So having a chance to see these guys work out, having a chance to watch film, you can kind of get an idea. But I want to be accurate when I answer that. So I'm anxious to see this spring, really who's going to compete and they all can run. Every kid in that room is pretty talented. So to your point, so we'll get the right pieces in the right places. I'm confident.
Jobs are open.
I wouldn't say jobs are open, and I wouldn't say jobs are I wouldn't say anything like that. I just right now I'm just getting to know them. That's what I'm willing to say right now.
Front row right, Bill.
Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Hey.
Could you just kind of discuss your decision, being a Columbus guy, having worked in Michigan for as long as you did, to come back here? What was that like emotionally for you? How hard a decision was that for you?
It was a hard decision, Like I said, I'm like, when you're in a place, wherever you are, you try to be all in, right? It's not like a stepping stone place. So you really, not only are you involved, your family's involved. So it's tough, it's really tough. But again, like you think about where you are, like, this is home for me. This is an unbelievable situation and a program. So you're excited in the same breath. So it's not I wouldn't put it in the easy category, but I'm fortunate in the same breath. So, but when you respect where you come from, when you respect the situation you were in, it's always a little more difficult.
And how tough a decision was it? What finally made you decide to come here?
A lot of reasons. I think Ohio State. I've known Coach Day and know the program tradition, but mom and dad are 20 minutes away. I got a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old. My wife went here. A lot of who I am is from, obviously the 614 and Columbus, and father playing here. You all are pretty versed in that narrative. So I think those things definitely were major contributors to coming, that unique blend of everything. So, yeah.
Far right, Tony.
Tony Gerda with the Ozone. So did you seek out your parents' guidance on this?
Yeah, we talk about it, but ultimately, I'm 34. You know what I mean? So I got to live it. So it wasn't like we talked about it, but they understand that this is what I got to do for my family. And that's kind of what the goal is.
And then Greg mentioned having 2 inside linebackers, 1 outside linebacker.
Yeah.
Should we expect what we saw at Michigan with the hybrid outside linebacker?
I mean, we're still talking through. What you can expect is an aggressive defense that's going to play fast. Okay, I mean, look, we're going to simplify things to the way the guys can play with enthusiasm necessary to be productive. So we're, again, I don't want to speak before, we're still working through it, but to answer your question, we're going to see an aggressive defense. The guys playing fast. So.
Over here to the right, Clay.
Clay Hall, ABC6.
Yeah, Clay, how you doing? I remember you in high school, man. Yeah, man, you the man.
Yeah, I'm a dinosaur, that's for sure. Because I've done a couple stories with your dad here recently,
Yeah.
he went through the process that when you went to the team up north, as they call them here,
Yeah.
and his reaction to that, which was pretty interesting. So when you told him you were coming back, how did he react?
You know what, man? He empathized with me, man. I mean, he may come off as like, but he understood it was tough, and he was a part of. I had to drag him. I remember him coming to a spring game with I threw a Michigan hat on him, and he had a Ohio State jersey underneath. You know what I mean? So he was excited for me because it was the best decision for me and the family. But he empathized. He understands, and there's a lot of shared respect there. So.
Is it true that when he went up there, I think for that spring game or a game, he said, yeah, it's all right, and Coach Harbaugh's all right, but it's just too much blue.
That's true. That is a true statement. So, but yeah, he was around quite a bit, man. So, yeah.
Front row middle, Angelique.
Hey, Angelique, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Two things. How close were you to staying at Michigan? What did Harbaugh, did he try to give you a different, position? And secondly, if I could piggyback, actually, could you answer that? And I'll ask you.
Yeah, no. I don't want to get into the details of everything, but I absolutely have a ton of respect for Coach Harbaugh. Been nothing but great for me, it was a tough decision, throughout it all, like he really respected where I was coming from. So, that's kind of where I'll leave that.
If everyone could bear with me here. Just Devin Bush, what kind of pro is he going to be?
So he's a football player, so you throw him in pros, you throw him in high school or college, he's going to play. He's one of the better players I've ever been around. So not so much, physically he is, but his mindset, so I expect him to do very well, yeah.
Got time for a couple more. Far left, second row, Bill.
Hi, Bill Landis from The Athletic. You've recruited this state for other programs. I'm wondering, now that you're recruiting this state for Ohio State, does your approach change at all in terms of timeline when you offer kids? Not the tenacity you would use to approach recruiting, but
Yeah.
the timeline of things, because you were dealing with the power program in the state.
Yeah, you got to consider that. You have to consider the timing of things, and you have to really make sure that there's a relationship there. Both sides are familiar with each other. So I think you definitely, and that goes with everywhere I've been. At home base, you have to really be thorough. And at a school like Ohio State, though, to be honest, I could be in California and still feel good about the chances of a kid if you do offer him a kid committing. So I think you have to be very meticulous and very detailed in how you making sure you get every question answered that you need before you extend yourself, because there's a good chance the kid may join in, and obviously it's different when you're home. So
I guess you kind of touched on what I'm getting at is there's been some discussion here in years past about offering in-state kids too early because you don't want a commitment from a kid that you're not sure how he's going to develop just yet. I'm just wondering if your perspective on that has changed now that you're recruiting here instead of recruiting somewhere else.
Not a ton. If you get a young guy that has the earmarks to being a really good player, I think you make your judgment, and so no, I would say no on that.
Right in front of him, Doug.
Doug Lamarice, Cleveland.com. How would you describe the relationship that you built up with Zach Harrison during the recruiting process?
Well, it was good. Zach's he's a great kid, and obviously it's documented. We spent a lot of time, myself, Coach Madison, and Coach Johnson, obviously. So yeah, it's a good relationship. I know he and his family well, and a ton of respect for them. It's a good relationship.
And then the idea of Could you describe sort of what it was like when he chose Ohio State, and then now you and Coach Madison are here, and he was saying, you know, probably Coach Johnson and Coach Madison or you were maybe the guys he spent the most time with, and now
Yeah.
he got all of you.
Yeah. Well, when he committed to Ohio State, I was bummed out. You know, I was like, I was pretty upset. But I understood. You know, it was one of those deals where he said, I'm going. I said, hey, man, best of luck to you. And, decision to come here, it was, we talked, and it's pretty unique, and so to have all the people, I'm sure there's some other coaches he was close with also, but to have us there is pretty unique, so, yeah.
And final questions. Third row right. Kyle?
Kyle Rowland, Toledo Blade.
Kyle.
You and Ryan coached together
Yeah.
in college. Just what were your impressions of him there?
Ryan, just very poised, and he's very in tune to the situation. Even the process of me working for him at Boston College was, I think he read it right. Unfortunately, he did. I owe him a lot in that department. Every young coach, as you start off, I was in D3, 12 years ago, whatever it was. So you need people to kind of see what you can do. No different than playing a sport. So I think that was my impression of Ryan, and just really poised under the highest of pressure situations, and very knowledgeable and a great motivator. He is a really good motivator. So.
And then once you got into the coaching profession, did you always have a desire to make it to Ohio State?
That's a good question. I've gotten that a lot. Honestly, I just wanted to be the best coach I could be, and wherever that took me, I was willing. Because when you leave, you're gone. This is the first time I've been back since 2012. So you kind of just I've always, Ohio State's the standard, so it's always be a nice deal, but a lot has to work out for that to happen. So to say it was a lifelong dream, I wouldn't say it was, but it definitely, when it came up, I was like, wow, maybe it should have been a dream, because it was so unique. So.
Coach, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.